Something that I will never understand that adults do. We expect so much more from kids than we do from adults. We justify so much shitty behavior in adults. We will justify temper tantrums. We will justify abuse. We will justify arguing, gaslighting, manipulation, getting angry, lashing out. We will always find reasons for how it's acceptable, but a child so much just has a bad attitude and we flip out. We expect them to be walking around with the perfect smile on their face all the time, 24/7, when we as adults can't even do that. And this is something that I have spent a lot of time really working on explaining to the people close to me and who are close to my son, and helping to understand how children's brains work, because unfortunately, no one really cared to understand how kids' brains worked up until recently. And we're still in the transition period of that. I grew up in the children are to be seen and not heard. You don't ask questions, you don't ask why. You don't even so much as think a disrespectful thought. You don't even so much as consider being angry. God forbid you be angry, while all the adults around me were able to be angry and scream and yell and frustrated the crap out of me. But I was just like, okay, when I'm an adult, I can do those things. But as a kid, I have to stuff all of these emotions. We have to realize that children's brains are not fully formed. Their brains are still learning. If we are over the age of 22, our brains are fully formed, still learning. Neuroplasticity is a thing. For the most part, it's fully formed. We got all of the pieces there to understand and move forward. Children don't. So any stressful situation, any angering situation that we experience is multiplied when you're a child, because we have fully formed brains and we can't even really always hold it together. We will get angry, we will yell, we will get sad, we will cry, and our kids experience all of that and their internal emotions. So they're experiencing what they're witnessing. They're experiencing your energy. Have you ever walked into a room and you can just tell that everybody was like talking about somebody, or everybody was just like super tense, like you could just feel it? Our kids feel that all the time. We expect them to have a bad situation and just go, okay, be cool with it, be fine, let it go, whatever, and let us do our thing, when we're over here acting like a 3-year-old who was told that we can't have cookies at the grocery store. I don't know about y'all, but I'm real sick and tired of being that hypocrite. And I'm real sick and tired of expecting of that happening and then expecting that to breed good results in our kids. You know what we're teaching kids? That anger and aggression is how you handle things, and that their personal emotions don't matter. And so they're going to continue to stuff them down until they do implode the way we do, because we also don't know how to handle our emotions. It drives me crazy. We also expect kids to have this like greater understanding. We know what it's like to have a car breakdown on the side of the freeway. We know what it's like to be fired from a job. We know what it's like to not get paid on time when we need it for a bill. We know what it's like to go through heartbreak, right? And we know that, and yet our child will break a crayon and they will lose their minds over it, and we're like, oh my gosh, get over it. It's just a crayon. It's just a crayon, just get over it. That crayon meant so much to them that in their mind, that's the same as a car breaking down on the side of the freeway, because that was their worldview. That's what they have in front of them. We expect them to have a grand understanding of the whole world when they're literally brand new. They don't even know what the world means. They don't know where all these things are. They just know that mommy's yelling at them for something, then they're upset and they don't know what to do, and instead of comforting them, we're telling them to get over it. How do we think that's going to end up? Not good. We as adults, as parents, and unfortunately this falls especially on us as single parents, we have to step up and learn how our children's brains work so we can support them in the best way possible and help them to understand. And I don't want to hear nothing about, well, we need to toughen them up and their world doesn't care about how their brain works. You don't pick up a 2-year-old and put them in a pre-calculus class and expect them to understand it all. No, because it's not where their development is at. So why on earth are we expecting a 2-year-old to have a full understanding of the world and be able to suck up their emotions when they're seeing mommy and daddy lose their mind every 5 minutes? Now, I'm not saying that that's everybody. I know in a lot of toxic households, that's what it's like. I am still healing. I know that my son witnesses me lose my mind more often than I would like to admit. And I'm not saying this from a holier than thou perspective because like I said, I'm still working on this. I'm 100% a work in progress. But if we don't take the time to figure out how our kid's brain works, how are we ever to expect them to figure out how their brain works? How are we ever to expect them to go out into the world and be successful and be empathetic and be kind and do all of these things that we want for them when they can't even figure out why we're so angry all the time? When we expect too much from our kids internalize that and they feel like something is wrong with them. Oh my gosh, mommy keeps yelling at me about this. Why is the blue crayon bothering me? There must be something wrong with me. Mommy keeps yelling at me, so there's something wrong. I've screwed up and I have done this. And they internalize that as being wrong. They internalize that as being broken. They internalize that as there is something fundamentally wrong with them and their existence. Now I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna raise my hand and say, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to feel worthless. I have been battling those voices for as long as I can remember, and I have shifted my entire business to encourage and help women see their worth through my Worthy Apparel clothing line, through coaching, through this stuff, because it's so important. So why are we so surprised when our kids have such low self-esteem? Why are we so surprised when kids have depression? Why are we so surprised when they feel unmotivated? Because they feel intrinsically broken, like something is wrong, so why bother anyway? Or they are so far up the prove my worth train with how much I can produce and show up and be perfect. That was me. Breaking this cycle is simple, but it's not easy. I'm not saying that any of this is like easy or that it can happen overnight or that it should happen overnight. Any of that. This is gonna be a gradual, like if you're listening to this and you're really connecting with it, like, oh my God, like I realize I've been doing this and I wanna change, I commend you. Like this is going to be hard. Like you've gotta unlearn things and then your kids are gonna have to unlearn things and you're gonna have to go on this journey together. And it's gonna be a really bumpy ride. And you're going to screw up and you're going to snap at your kids and your kids are going to get angry and things are gonna happen and you're gonna feel guilty, and that's normal. But don't quit, don't give up, don't change that shifting. And I will go ahead and link in the description some resources that have really helped me, some books that I've read that have absolutely changed my life. Namely, The Whole Brain Child and Scream Free Parenting are two that are really, really impacting how I see not only my child, but how I see the world and how I see how other people may have been treated as children. And it's really helped. And even if you're not a screamer, Scream Free Parenting is really beneficial because they don't just reference it as someone who screams and yells a lot. I grew up in that household, so that's something that I'm working on. Anyone can benefit from that. I really do believe that if we really nail down our own issues and see our children for who they are right now, where their brain is at, we can then change how we show up, and we have the potential to change an entire generation. And I'm not being dramatic when I say that. I am dead serious. It really is possible. If this made you feel a certain kind of way, if this made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you're not alone. I am not judging you for how you choose to parent or how you've parented up until this point. I have no room to. I have zero room to judge whatsoever. As you can tell, my child is trying to peek in even though he knows that I'm filming right now. So trust me, I'm still learning. I'm still working on this. Understanding how our child's brain works can get us massively farther ahead than we think.